The Gunpowder Plot, the conspiracy that nearly erased England's entire government. 36 barrels of gunpowder sat directly beneath the King of England, hidden in a rented cellar, enough explosive force to level the entire building and everyone inside it. The plan would have killed the king, his heir, and virtually every member of Parliament in a single instant. It failed because of one anonymous letter and the man who lit the fuse. By 1605, a group of English Catholics, led by a nobleman named Robert Catesby, had reached a genuine breaking point after decades of escalating religious persecution under successive Protestant English monarchs, persecution that included substantial fines for refusing to attend Protestant church services, restrictions on Catholic worship, and periodic waves of more severe legal punishment depending on the specific political climate of any given year. When King James I, who Catholics had initially hoped might offer more religious tolerance than his predecessor, instead continued and in some respects intensified anti-Catholic policies after taking the throne in 1603, Catesby and a small group of similarly frustrated Catholic conspirators concluded that peaceful political change had become genuinely impossible and began planning something considerably more drastic. The plan Catesby and his co-conspirators developed was audacious in both its scope and its specific mechanism. Rather than attempting a conventional assassination or uprising, the conspirators planned to destroy the Houses of Parliament entirely during the state opening of Parliament, a ceremonial occasion when King James, his eldest son and heir Prince Henry, and virtually the entire English political establishment, lords, bishops and members of the House of Commons, would all be gathered together in the same building simultaneously, offering an unprecedented single opportunity to eliminate England's entire ruling political and religious establishment in one coordinated explosion, clearing the way, the conspirators hoped, for a Catholic uprising that would install James's young daughter Elizabeth as a new monarch under Catholic influence and guidance. Executing this plan required genuine logistical sophistication. The conspirators, working through an intermediary, managed to rent a cellar directly beneath the House of Lords, ostensibly for storing coal and firewood, a rental arrangement that provided legitimate cover for the group to begin secretly transporting and storing what would eventually total 36 barrels of gunpowder, a quantity historians studying the plot's technical specifications generally agree would have been more than sufficient to completely destroy the building and kill everyone inside it, along with causing significant additional damage and casualties throughout the surrounding area of Westminster. Guy Fawkes, an English Catholic convert with genuine military and explosives experience gained fighting in European conflicts, was specifically selected by the other conspirators to serve as the operation's explosives expert, tasked with actually managing the gunpowder stores and ultimately lighting the fuse on the appointed day, a role that reflected his specific technical expertise rather than any particular leadership position within the broader conspiracy, a historical detail frequently overlooked given how thoroughly Fawkes' name has since become permanently, singularly associated with the entire plot in popular memory. The conspiracy began unraveling roughly a week before the planned attack, when an anonymous letter was delivered to Lord Monteagle, a Catholic nobleman with family connections to several of the conspirators, warning him in deliberately vague terms to avoid attending the upcoming Parliament session, since those responsible for the letter claimed Parliament would receive a terrible blow, without anyone present actually seeing who struck it. The letter's specific author has never been definitively confirmed, with historians proposing several competing theories, including one of the conspirators themselves experiencing a genuine crisis of conscience regarding family members who might be present, though this remains one of the plot's genuinely unresolved historical mysteries even today. Monteagle, rather than simply heeding the warning privately, forwarded the letter directly to King James's chief minister, Robert Cecil, triggering a search of the Parliament buildings and their surrounding cellars. In the early hours of November 5, 1605, searchers discovered Guy Fawkes in the rented cellar directly beneath the House of Lords, alongside the full stockpile of concealed gunpowder, arresting him on the spot before he could ignite the explosives mere hours before the planned attack was set to occur. Fawkes, under subsequent interrogation that included torture explicitly authorized by King James himself, initially maintained his composure and refused to reveal his fellow conspirators' identities, but eventually, under sustained pressure, provided information that allowed authorities to identify and pursue the remaining plotters. Several conspirators, including Catesby himself, were killed in an armed confrontation with authorities at Holbecker House days later, while Fawkes and several other surviving plotters were formally tried, convicted of high treason, and sentenced to the era's specific, deliberately brutal traditional punishment for treason, being hanged, drawn, and quartered, a sentence Fawkes ultimately avoided experiencing in its full intended brutality by breaking his own neck jumping from the gallows platform before the remaining stages of his execution could be carried out. The plot's failure and subsequent public revelation triggered a significant wave of anti-Catholic sentiment across England, resulting in increasingly severe legal restrictions against English Catholics in the years that followed. Restrictions that would remain in place, with varying degrees of enforcement, for well over 2 centuries afterward, meaning the Gunpowder Plot's ultimate historical legacy proved genuinely counterproductive to its conspirators' original goal of improving conditions for English Catholics, instead cementing decades of additional, intensified persecution directly resulting from the conspiracy's exposure. November 5th itself was almost immediately established as an official day of public thanksgiving for the king's survival, a commemoration that evolved over subsequent centuries into the modern British tradition of Bonfire Night, still celebrated annually across Britain today with fireworks and bonfires, frequently featuring the burning of effigies representing Guy Fawkes specifically, transforming the plot's central historical figure into a permanent, ritually commemorated symbol of failed treason that remains actively marked in British popular culture over 4 centuries after the actual conspiracy itself was discovered and dismantled. What makes the Gunpowder Plot endure as one of history's most significant averted conspiracies isn't simply the sheer scale of destruction and political disruption the plan would have caused had it succeeded, though the potential elimination of England's entire governing establishment in a single explosion remains genuinely staggering to consider. But the specific narrow margin by which the plot was actually discovered, a single anonymous letter, sent for reasons that remain historically unresolved even now, arriving with just enough time for authorities to search the correct cellar on the correct night, mere hours before 36 barrels of gunpowder would otherwise have been deliberately ignited beneath the seated King of England and virtually his entire government. If stories like this, where a single letter stood between history as we know it and a catastrophe that would have rewritten an entire nation's government in a single explosion, are exactly what you come here for, subscribe to the grave details, because history holds more stories like this than most people will ever know.